The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
ESPN Jets reporter Rich Cimini thinks there's only a 10 to 20% chance Rodgers is a Jet next season. And his answer as to why, I think, is concerning. We'll talk about that and much more. Will Parkinson will join us in his weekly spot on the show. It is the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
But I'm just saying here, setting the record straight. This show is about positivity and having a good time and yucking it up. I love this show. I do this shit for free.
Yeah.
We bleed Jets green each and every day. This is not the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jets bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for spending part of your day with us here on the channel. Hit that like button and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Just got done with 4 hours of radio, and I had Rich Cimini on as a guest this morning, so we will play you what he had to say about Aaron Rodgers in a moment. We'll bring on Will Parkinson as well. But unfortunately, I got to start this show off with some news I just learned right before we went live. Dark Knight Steve, his account wrote in, "This is Joe, Steve's brother. Steve and his family were victims of a hit-and-run Christmas Eve while looking at Christmas lights. Please keep Steve and his family in your thoughts and prayers." Steve is a longtime listener of the show. In fact, if you tuned in the other day, he gifted Asmaniacs like 50 memberships in one show. He's always so generous supporting the channel. I met him in London. I met him and Joe in London for the Jets-Vikings game this year, and they're great people. So please keep Steve and his family in your thoughts and prayers. Very, very upsetting to see this news here as we sign on to the show. So sending my best wishes to Steve and his family during what, of course, is obviously a very difficult time right now. On that note, we'll do our best to try and honor Steve and talk Jets, his favorite team. And we'll say hello right now to Will Parkinson. Will, I hope you had a great Christmas. Happy holidays, my man. Appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You too, man.
So we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, definitely prayers out to his family. Hopefully, can get that resolved quite quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to play you a clip, and the full interviews on the DiPietro and Rothenberg podcast. It was a good conversation with Rich. We covered a lot. But there was one moment in the conversation where we were talking about Aaron Rodgers' future. And Rich Cimini, when I asked him about that, he said this.
I do not think Rodgers will be back. I just think Woody Johnson really doesn't want him back. And if Woody is smart, he will defer that decision to his two new hires. If the owner's not on board, it's going to be tough to bring him back. And I think there's a host of salary cap reasons also not to bring him back. So if I had to bet right now, I would say he's not back. I wouldn't say it's out of the question. I probably would just say it's like a 10 or 20% chance.
So I hear that from Rich. And I don't think it's crazy to think Aaron Rodgers is not going to be a Jet next year, Will. But I think where my antenna went up is when Rich is talking about Woody Johnson. He doesn't believe Woody wants Aaron back. And I get it, he owns the team. But we've already lost as Jet fans if Woody's making that decision. Like, the only decision that matters with Aaron Rodgers should be the people that Woody hires to be the general manager and head coach. Woody could have his own feelings. He could give his opinion, and his opinion can be considered. But ultimately, you have to let your football people decide on the best option at quarterback, if it's Rodgers or if it's not Rodgers. Like, if Woody's smart, as Rich says, he'll defer to his football people. But then Rich is also saying, well, I don't think Woody wants him back. So that's my concern. If you want this thing to be turned around, your football people got to make the football decisions and not the owner who doesn't know enough about football to be weighing in on such a thing.
Yeah, I mean, you'd love – yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I feel like I've been saying this for a while. It's just like, as long as the people making the decision on Rodgers is Rodgers himself, right? Rodgers has to want to play. He has to be, up for it, potentially taking a pay cut. And then obviously new GM, new head coach. frankly, as long as Woody's on board with, I'm open to paying him. Like, you can give your opinion for sure, right? John Mara wanted Saquon back, but at the end of the day, I know it's a different. I'm just using the example of, like, he obviously wanted him back. He gave his opinion,
Right.
But he still let Joe Shane make the move, and that's kind of how it should roll here. Like, look, there's a world in which Woody's like, I'm not even paying him at all, right? And he's just like, nope, sorry, like, I'm not paying that bonus. I'm not doing these different things. Then it's not even a discussion, because that's a whole another can of worms that we could go down. So, it should be up to the head coach and the GM. 10 to 20%. I don't think that's like crazy. I think it's probably, I said for a while, I think we all kind of felt like 50-50 around that Colts game. Just depending on, 60-40, 50-50, whatever it was. Obviously the season was going awry. Kind of felt like 90-10, maybe, post right before the Dolphins game. And then the last couple of weeks, he's obviously looked good overall. I still think 20% is fair. I think there's a lot of things that have to happen for Rodgers to be back, just based on, again, do the new head coach and new GM want him? Does he want to play next year? I'm not entirely convinced, Jake, that Rodgers is not in the position where, like, I think he knows he kind of needs the Jets, and the Jets, for some ways, kind of need him, but they have more of the power here, and I think he knows that.
I think that's why he's been talking more publicly about redoing his deal.
Like, redoing his deal, mentoring.
For the first time this week, Will, he said something that he hadn't said. He says, I realize if I'm going to be back and Devontae's going to be back, we're going to have to redo our deals. He's never acknowledged that for him to be back, he'd have to do that. Yeah. He's under contract. Devontae, we already knew, but him throwing himself in that to me was a little eye-opening. Yeah, no, for sure. I think he's fully aware of the situation. I think he's fully aware of, just go by, you go down the list of the teams, Jake. Raiders, Giants are going to draft somebody. Maybe the Raiders won't. Maybe it'll be a different discussion, and they're the only team. But Devontae's not going back to Vegas, so if they're going to be a tandem, that's not going to happen there. In terms of where Tennessee, it's just hard to find the team. The Giants, like, it's hard. It's hard to find the team for Rodgers outside of the Jets. Part of me thinks he plays the next 2 weeks, 17 starts post Achilles, 500 career touchdowns, goes out with good stats, and he goes into next year as the guy who, the Phillip Rivers, the Tom Brady, this team, some guy gets hurt in camp, and Rodgers, I'm still ready, I can still play, and that type of guy, so doesn't fully officially retire, but like is going to retire. The Jets have, basically if Rodgers retires, it doesn't change anything for the Jets. It's just like cutting him. But yeah, I don't know. I have a weird feeling that it's like he sits back and it's like, I kind of accomplished, maybe not individually or maybe not team wise this year, but it is impressive to come off the Achilles and start 17 and, end up having a good statistical season. So I'm not saying it's zero chance he's back, because anything can happen, but it does feel like we're trending towards this is the final 2 games with Rodgers as Jets quarterback. I think a lot of it is who the coach is, because I think Mike Vrabel might want Aaron Rodgers, for example, where Liam Cohen or a different first-time head coach, Aaron Glenn, they might not want Aaron Rodgers, because it's not just, is he your best option? Like, I think if you look at the alternatives, you can make a compelling case that Aaron Rodgers, even at his age, gives you the best chance to win. But it's so much more beyond that. It's a new regime coming in, trying to build their culture their way. And if Rodgers is there, it's always going to be like Aaron Rodgers' team because of his presence. And it's not a negative. That's just the reality. And it's only 1 year. Like, Rodgers as a Jet for 1 year is not the same as like Phillip Rivers at the end of his career being a bridge quarterback in Indianapolis and winning 11 games and going to the playoffs that year. Like, it didn't become Phillip Rivers' team. I feel like with Rodgers, it's always going to be his team if he's here. So that's something that a new regime is thinking about. And that's why I think it might only be like a Vrabel that would want Rodgers, because he's got a relationship with the guy. And I think Vrabel is proven and accomplished enough where it would still feel like Vrabel's team, and Aaron would have that buy-in because he has respect for the coach, because the coach is seasons and not a first-timer. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense. I'm not anti-Rodgers being back. Me neither. I just want the Jets GM and coach to decide, not Woody Johnson. And I also want it to be both them. And again, I keep saying this, and it's not like being like facetious. Like, Aaron's got to be all in too if he's going to be back. It's got, and I'm not doubting that he would be. I'm just saying it's like, it's got to be everyone all in
in terms of not all in, like, oh, Super Bowl, and more of just like all in on like, we're going to make this thing work. And, maybe it's a conversation. Let's just say it is Mike Vrabel of like, hey, Aaron, like, if you're going to come back and let's just say they talk through it and they want to bring him back. Like, if you start to suck or you really start to fall off a cliff, right, or you get hurt, like, there's no, like, I can pull the plug whenever I want. Like, and there's some very real conversations. Like, I said it on the pod on Monday, I believe. I don't know that we'll see if the Garrett Aaron thing is resolvable or it's just, it feels like they're just kind of nipping at each other and maybe it's, older brother, little brother kind of is what it is. If Rodgers is back, not only is it the coaching staff on the same page and GM, him and Garrett need to be much more on the same page. I thought last year during camp and this year during camp and even early in the year, they were on the same page. But then it felt like quickly there was just passing Garrett up at times or just not on the same page. And, it's been bothersome all year. I think like Garrett's numbers are good, but it feels like it's been at times a really amazing year and other times disappointing. It was like, I don't know. I felt like even week 3, right? The amazing Rodgers touchdown to Garrett on the goal line, like it was like forced to him because like they could not get on the same page. So that would be priority 1 outside of being on the same page in terms of expectations, in terms of control, etc. Like it would have to be like, hey, like you and Garrett have to be on the same page because it's not. It can't. That dynamic can't continue. I think that is something that has been very bothersome. I think of just like it's, Garrett's frustrated. Aaron gets frustrated with Garrett. If he misses something, then doesn't look at him when it should be clearly he's wide open. Like that's the stuff. They're just missing opportunities there. And again, Rodgers has played much better. I thought the last, 6 weeks in general, but the last 3 or 4 weeks and, overall he's had really amazing quarters and halves and even full games. But yeah, they got to get, I just would love to see, like, at the end of the year, those last 2 games, like a couple of Garrett moments with Rodgers. Not that it means much, Jake, but like to kind of just to kind of get cooler heads to prevail going into the offseason.
Let Garrett finish the year strong and not on such a sour note where, everyone's like, is he going to request a trade? Which I have Leger Duzable on the show today, who you and I both know well. And he's like, Garrett's got no leverage. Like, he's going to be a Jet. Like, it's just so he's going to be here, but you'd like him to be excited about being here. And that's where I think a new regime's got to come in and say, Garrett, you're the guy. Like, you're Batman on this team. Even if, Devontae were to be back, like Garrett Wilson is one of the premier players this franchise has had. He's going to have a lot of Jet records if he stays here for his career. I mean, he's about to go over 1,000 yards for the 3rd straight year. There's only one other Jet that's done that. That's George Sauer back in the 60s. So, like, Garrett Wilson is the future of this team, not Devontae Adams, not Aaron Rodgers. You got to make sure that he's bought in and wants to be a part of it.
Yeah. I was looking at my dog, guys, because he was biting my foot. But yeah, no, I mean, look, next year, Garrett's not going anywhere. I think it's the conversation is, post next year, if you can't get an extension done, do those conversations start to kind of heighten? Look, the Jets have had a really rough year, as we all know. And when you're at the end of the year here, there's not much to talk about, right? We can only talk about head coach and GM so much, right? Like me and you could talk about it, but from a day-to-day beat writer perspective or, nationally, Garrett's going to be the story because outside of, it's the same conversations that continue to happen. So Garrett's under team control for 4 more years, including the tag. Garrett, has 0 leverage. Obviously, we know that holding out in the NFL doesn't work. Cue Hassan Reddick. Brandon Ayuk, held out, quote unquote, then held in, and then tore his ACL 6 weeks into the season and was terrible before he, got hurt. So Garrett's not going to do that. I don't worry about like that type of situation. But I also think that the first thing you do as a GM after you figure out quarterback, or at least the direction you want to go, whether it's Sam Darnold, it's Geno Smith, it's JJ McCarthy, whatever it may be, or Justin Fields, you go to Garrett and say, how does 1 for 136 sound with a C on your chest? And that's it. Like, and you're going to be a major part of this organization moving forward. And I think that money talks in the NFL. And I think that at the end of the day, like, I just think Garrett wants to win, and I think that everyone wants to win, and I just think he wants to see like, hey, I'm going to have some type of stability at quarterback, or I'm going to have some type of stability at head coach. You know what? I just worry that from the perspective of like, you know, you don't want to like cater too much and coddle these guys too much, right? The younger guys, but at the same time, just making him know it's a priority. Like I just think sometimes you got to remind, especially a lot of these younger players, like you're a priority here, and like it does go a long way, Jake. I just think like just a show of not faith, but a sign of like, hey, we're going to try to take care of you, kind of easing things up a little bit. Maybe Garrett and Rodgers are never going to be perfect together, but I would like to see again that relationship it feels like it's gotten a little sour now. And now it's not just like missing a few targets. Now it's like they're kind of nipping at each other in post games and stuff like
the
that.
Body language stuff too, you could tell.
Yeah, the body language, both of them. It just seems like a lot of times like Rodgers, again, I think I said this on the pod, and I truly believe this. I don't care about Rodgers feeding Devontae targets. That doesn't bother me at all. Devontae is an all-pro receiver. I think he's 6th in the NFL in yards per game. Like, he's awesome. What bothers me is Lazard getting targets that should be going to Garrett Wilson. That's when it pisses me off. Like, that's the stuff that I can't stand, right? Or I think Lazard, he gets 7 targets, dropped 2 of them, had a third that was arguably a drop as well. That can't happen. So you hope that goes away next year. Lazard's a guy that I would be shocked if he's on the team next year. But yeah, again, Garrett, I don't worry about Garrett like long-term or in short-term. It's more of like long-term, just like with anybody in any organization, not just the Jets. So it's like, you got to just prove to these guys, like do what the Commanders did with Terry McLaurin, right? Another Ohio State guy. At the end of the day, like the Commanders were a disaster. Quarterback, couldn't get quarterback right, all these different things. They took care of Terry McLaurin and said, like, we're going to get this right. Like, stick with us, but here's a massive payday to help you kind of get through the tough times. So that's something I'd certainly explore in the offseason. At least try to have the conversation. Don't wait till the last minute. Be proactive. Go to Garrett and say, even if we're not going to get something done now, let's at least have some conversations to start this thing up.
Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Super chat from Mike. Came in late, praying for Dark Knight Steve. Well said. For those who missed it, we said it at the top, what Dark Knight Steve and his family are going through. So I'm going to hopefully get in touch with Steve later today and find out what we as a community could do to help him out during what is obviously a very difficult time in his life right now. So thank you, Mike, for the super chat, and stay tuned for more there. The hamburger checks in. In my opinion, it's more likely to lean towards AR returning, especially with the quarterbacks available. If you're drafting a quarterback, sitting in behind AR is our best option. I don't disagree, Hamburger, but this is where I think it's a little more complicated than just who's the best option. It's who's the coach, and is that coach comfortable trying to basically put together their vision for what the franchise is, try and fix the culture where Aaron Rodgers is still here, part of the previous regime and the previous era. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's a different dynamic with Rodgers still being here with a new coach that's coming in trying to implement their plan. I think if it's a veteran coach like Vrabel, I don't know if that's a big deal at all. But I think if Aaron Glenn was the Jet coach, he might want to start fresh and not feel like Aaron Rodgers' presence is kind of hovering over what he's trying to build. And I'm not saying that it's a knock on Aaron. It's just he's Aaron Rodgers. It's always going to be spotlight on him, attention on him, because he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think on paper, Rodgers being back is obviously the best option. And look who's out there, right? Again, let's just go through the list. The only viable options, in my opinion, are, and to some degree, right? These are the only 5 options that really make sense. I guess if you want to include Tyrod, sure. It's Darnold, probably not coming back here. Would love Sam. I'm the biggest Sam, whatever the stupid nicknames for these people are. Sam's probably not coming back here. It's Geno, probably not coming back here. I'm not sure that Geno's getting cut. After that, it's Dak's probably not getting moved with that money. Trevor Lawrence probably not getting moved. Justin Fields, and Justin Fields' Tyrod room. So you're kind of doing some of the Steelers thing. Kirk Cousins, that's kind of what we're talking about here. JJ McCarthy in a trade. Sure. I talked about that a month and a half ago that that's a guy you should explore if Sam keeps playing well, but do we know Minnesota's would be willing to move him? You know what I mean? It makes sense if you're the Jets.
hire Mike Vrabel, JJ McCarthy was so successful under Harbaugh. Like, you'd have something to get excited about. He would be QB1 in this class for me. So, like, there's that option. But outside of that, it's really Fields, Kirk, Tyrod. Like, that's what you're talking about instead of Rodgers. All that said, it's not just about the play on the field. It's obviously the money, which is I think is a little overblown. Jake, the cap goes up every year, 20, 30 million bucks. Like, you're not going to feel it as hard. Teams can win with dead money on their books. The Broncos, we've seen the Broncos do it this year. We've seen the Eagles do it. We've seen plenty of teams do it. It's just, does a new coach and GM want to start over? Do they want to not start over roster wise and like tank, but do they want to try to have a different identity? Does Aaron, again, we talk so much about what do the Jets want. Are we sure Aaron wants to play next year? Like, that's what I keep coming back to this, because I think the whole conversation is, oh my God, what are the Jets going to do? And they're going to trade him, and they're going to cut him, and they're going to start. Dude, Aaron's got to want to play too. And the way he's talked, it's like he might want to play. He was 3 or 4 years last summer, but maybe he's like, damn, I've gotten hit. I got hit. I've taken a couple of big shots this year. The Jets offensive line's been good, but I've taken a couple of really big shots. I'm 41. I don't know. We think he wants to play. I'm just saying there is a world in which he doesn't even want to play, and that's a whole different discussion. And honestly, if he's not on the Jets next year, I do hope he retires, because I would love for the Jets not to have to be like, oh, the Jets cut Aaron Rodgers, and like it just become a whole thing. I'd rather just be like, Aaron Rodgers walked away, and then maybe, even if you Favre it, I'd rather that, than just straight up cutting him.
Well, the thing is, too, if he goes somewhere else, you could already feel the pain of he goes somewhere else and plays well, and the Jets get clowned again. You can't operate that way, but you just know.
Somehow Dan Graziano will, somehow make it the Jets' fault, not Rodgers. But, that's for another day.
So I hate to obviously steer the conversation back to what we opened with at the top, but a listener, the great Addison, just shared with me a link to a story about Dark Knight Steve and his family's accident. For those who missed it, Dark Knight Steve was involved in a hit and run. There's a GoFundMe that's been set up that I am posting the link immediately in the chat. I will pin it in the comments as well after the fact. So I'm just reading through the details here of the article. Also, it's incredible. I'm seeing there's $35,000 that's already been raised for Steve's family. But tragic Christmas Eve golf cart hit and run crash in Lake Clark Shores. Steve, Nicole, Sabrina, and Stevie were enjoying the holiday season on their golf cart, admiring Christmas lights, when tragedy struck. A pickup truck collided with their cart at full speed, causing it to flip multiple times. Family was thrown from the cart, landing in the street, and Stevie was pinned under the golf cart. Neighbors rushed to their aid, offering immediate assistance until medics arrived. The family was transported to St. Mary's Medical Center, where the two of them remain hospitalized, facing extensive injuries and a long road to recovery. This devastating hit and run has left the Cortracci family in need of community support during this challenging time. Let's come together to assist with their medical expenses and financial needs while police continue their efforts to locate the driver responsible. This is tough for me to read. It just, anyone who knows the show knows Steve is such a big part of our community. So I just posted the link. All the info is there. I'm going to take all the money that we get from super chats and memberships from this show and donate more on my own too. But as Maniacs, if you have the means to support Steve, please do so. It's very sad. Very sad. Steve himself, it says here, sustained broken ribs, broken back, a concussion. He'll need a back brace and therapy to regain mobility, and is expected to be discharged between 12/27, so that's today, and 12/28. So, Steve, if you're watching, we're thinking about you and your family. So just sorry to obviously share the news, but I know the power of this community. If you have the means to donate to that GoFundMe, please do so. And if you want to just super chat it in here or Venmo me, and I'll put it all together with my contribution later, whatever's easier for everyone out there. But hopefully they find this guy, because he should be locked up for life. And it's just terrible to hear this about Steve.
That's horrible. It's not good.
Once again, I will pin it after the fact for those not watching live. If you are watching live, the GoFundMe link is in the live chat. So sorry to obviously have to talk about this, but I feel like we owe it to Steve and everything he does for this channel to help him out. So a super chat here from the big fella. He writes in, rift began when Devontae Adams came and Aaron Rodgers started using him as the second option. Plus, this record touchdown favoritism for Adams when GW was open is probably frustrating. Correct me if I'm wrong, Will. I really don't feel like the the Devontae overshadowing Garrett stuff became a thing until people connected the dots from like the sideline blow up where Garrett was pissed in Jacksonville to then this past game. Like there were multiple games this year where Garrett and Devontae each had over 100 yards. There was the game against the Texans where Garrett's the reason why they won that night on Halloween, and Devontae also had some big-time plays late in that game. Like, I just feel like there's too much being made of like, oh, Garrett doesn't get the ball, and he's so frustrated because of Devontae. I think it's maybe more just the scheme and the offense and, like, that being the problem than, like, the lack of targets. Like, does that make sense? Like, he's fourth in the NFL in targets.
Yeah, look, Garrett had 23 targets against the Vikings, which was obviously objectively insane. But, you know, since Devontae's been there, 9, 8, 10, 6, 8, 10, 10, 6, 7. It's really the last. The thing is, like, even last week 2 weeks ago against Jacksonville, like, he drew 2 pass interference penalties that were like 100 yards worth of, you know, pass interference penalties that don't count as targets. Whereas Devontae's what? 13, 12, 11, 12, 7, 13, 11, 6. You know, like I said, the Devontae thing is not, to me, the problem. And yeah, I think Aaron was chasing 500 to throw it to Devontae on Sunday. I do. And I don't think that's like, they're 4-10. I get it, right? It's like it's just, you know, his best friend, the whole thing. That's fun. Like I said, my issue is the 7 Lazard targets, which take away not only from Garrett, but take away from Brees, even take away from Conklin, who's a much better player than Allen Lazard is. Like, that's why, to me, I don't think there's a rift between the two of them, like Devontae and Garrett. I just think Aaron will favor him. But again, if you took away some of the Lazard targets, we're talking about like 12 Devontae and 10 Garrett. It's also just, it's more of Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers is like, feel like sometimes is hesitant to take like the deep shots to Garrett. I think sometimes I feel like he's a little hesitant there. Obviously not always, right? Miami, he took a couple, and Conklin's not better than Lazard. Dude, Lazard's the worst player on the roster. Yes, he is better than whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I just think to myself, I'm not bummed out by like the Devontae Garrett thing. I think they should run it back with those two if possible. But Aaron definitely, you know, look, this happened in Green Bay too. It's not like this isn't new. Devontae is going to always get a crap ton of targets with Aaron. Like, that's the reality of it. It's just, yeah, I think it was a little frustrating on Sunday because I felt like he did force it a little bit to him. But like I said, I don't know. The Garrett thing is just so weird, man. I don't know if there's not trust there between the two of them. I don't know if it's whatever it is, but it just hasn't clicked this year. You know, it really hasn't. I know it's been a productive year, but it just feels like at points it's been really nice, but at points it's been like, damn, like they're so close, we just can't quite get on the same page.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats will cut the line. We're doing another raffle for an epic prize for those who missed it yesterday. The replica Joe Willie Namath Super Bowl III trophy is right here, and it is available for you to win. Every membership you gift, you get the requisite amount of raffle tickets with your name on it. Also, every $20 super chat or more, you're in the raffle for 5 tickets at a pop. Our second place prize is a Wayne Corbett rookie card, and that also includes a bunch of Asmaniac swag. Third place, I didn't realize I had this, but I do. Thanks to the Jets for being bad, I didn't have to use this at a giveaway at T Squared. An Aaron Rodgers throwback jersey, another one that we will send to you. We also will be giving away an item from the merch store, a Gus Buster umbrella, and many more. So appreciate everyone. And what I'm going to do is, for those who heard the Dark Knight Steve announcement, once YouTube takes away their cut, everything else I'm going to use towards my donation for Dark Knight Steve in that GoFundMe for all the memberships and super chats here. So it's a raffle for you to win something, and you're supporting Dark Knight Steve in the process as well. So, Mike, thank you for gifting 5 memberships here. That's 5 more raffle tickets for you. And Matthew Wright, It's Snoopy, Jerry Moore, Joe Bonesy, Mike Cruiser, all just received channel memberships there. So, once again, for those who want to donate directly to the GoFundMe link, I have posted it a bunch in the chat, and I'll make sure after the fact it is the pinned comment down below, and all the info on what Steve's going through is there for you to check out. Will, let's talk about the coaching search here. I'm shocked we made it this far without really getting into Mike Vrabel conversation or Aaron Glenn or whoever. Your thoughts on where things stand right now? A lot of rumblings out there about Vrabel. Of course, Colin Cowherd said this a week ago.
I talked to Mike Vrabel. Mike said, he said, I would take the Jets job. I just don't know who the GM would be. I'd have to like the GM.
So that's Cowherd a week ago. Brian Costello said this yesterday.
I think Vrabel's heading for the Raiders. That'd be my prediction right now, is that he's going to go to the Raiders, because I think the Tom Brady connection there will be strong. You know, that's where the murmurings in the league have him going to Las Vegas. So I don't think he's going to be with the Jets. I think Brady's going to, it sounds like Brady's going to be heavily involved, like as a more heavily involved than most minority owners. And obviously he loves Mike Vrabel.
So yeah, both ends of it. Your thoughts on where things stand with Vrabel and the other possible targets for the Jets for coach?
Yeah, it feels like a lot of connecting the dots, for sure. I don't know that. The Cowherd thing was interesting. I'm not. Who knows if he's telling the truth, right? Because that's what you get to do. You can kind of just say whatever. But I think Vrabel will be very open to the Jets job. I also think that the Jets are going to have to present a good plan. They're going to have to pay up. They're going to have to probably – I don't know if he's going to need control of the roster, but I also don't think that hiring – they went and hired Ryan Croden. I think it'd probably be a good step towards trying to get Mike Vrabel.
I feel like Vrabel doesn't want control. He just wants to be comfortable with the guy that –
he wants to make sure they're on the same page.
That was the issue in Tennessee. Yeah, he basically just wants to feel comfortable that he's not going to get sandbagged and A.J. Brown's going to get traded. He's going to get no notice about it.
Yeah, he's not going to take the Jets job and have Garrett Wilson traded within a week. But, yeah, no, I think Vrabel, the Jets are very much in. I don't know, Jake. I saw the Barnwell article. I've seen people kind of – the Raiders job, what is appealing about the Raiders job? I'm dead serious. Why?
I did this segment on the radio today. I did it yesterday.
I don't understand. What are we doing?
Get it. They're picking sixth right now. They're not even ranged to get one of these quarterbacks, and you have no idea if Shador or Cam Ward are any good. No one does.
The roster stinks. They have obviously Brock Bowers is great. Like,
their division is brutal. You're never going to get a home playoff game. You're playing an Andy Reid's division.
Not only that, it's just like what I don't know. Like they hire and fire coaches like it's like a bag of candy, and again, are we convinced they're firing Antonio Pierce? I mean, I don't think they should have rehired Antonio Pierce, but they're going to fire another coach after a year. So, Mark Davis is going to be paying 4 coaches. Like, I don't know, man. It feels like crazy. Jags, I think there's a somewhat appealing job, but it's kind of similar to the Jets job. It's just you have Trevor Lawrence, but you have Trevor Lawrence under contract for like 7 more years on ridiculous money, but a worse roster and a market that's meh at best. I don't know. I just don't really the Brady thing I think is a real thing, but I also, if you're Vrabel, are you like, this is your second job, right? So you're probably not getting a third if this goes really badly. Maybe if it goes well, but something else happens. I think that Vrabel would love to be the Patriots coach. He wanted to be their coach last year, but they're not going to fire Gerard Mayo. So I don't know. The more I go back and forth, like the Saints job is terrible. I don't know. I saw that yesterday. That's a bad job. What other jobs do we think are going to be open? Maybe Dallas. Maybe. Are we sure they're going to fire McCarthy? I mean, let McCarthy go? I don't know if I would. McCarthy's a good coach.
He saved his job, I think, with all the injuries and the fact you're still winning games. I think he's back. Yeah,
that. In terms of, yeah, I don't know. I just think that's a good opening. Like, Jets are not a great opening for sure, right? The owner and the coach are both. I mean, the owner and the quarterback are both big question marks. But like, Jets aren't some terrible opening. And I keep seeing it. Oh, this is the worst opening. Are we sure? Like, I'm not trying to be a homer here. There's some very appealing things about this job.
It's New York. You get paid a fortune. And I think the fact they don't have a GM is helpful because you basically get 2 people that are starting on the same page. There's no agendas where the GM feels like he has to win right away. And the coach is like, well, I'm trying to rebuild it in my vision. It's like everyone's on the same page when they're hired at the same time. I think that helps the Jets potentially land Vrabel. If Vrabel's serious about this job, and it's just about feeling comfortable with the GM, then you basically ask him or his agent and say, hey, who are some guys you think we should interview that you'd like? And then you go from there. Like, Vrabel to me is a good enough coach where you don't let him pick the GM. You basically run by some names with him and you get his thoughts on what he's looking for. And if he's your number one guy, go get him. Like, Mike Vrabel to me is the best qualified candidate you could get with previous coaching experience.
Yeah, I'm very pro Vrabel. I think I think it's not just that he's a good coach, and I think there's other good coaches on the market. I just think that the Jets are in need of a specific coach at the moment. And I think that someone that can reestablish the culture, can kind of make this a respectable organization that, is consistently in the mix every year, I think is extremely important. And Vrabel has shown an ability to hire good offensive coordinators in the past. So I don't worry as much about that as I do with some of the other defensive guys. Look, I know there's other names, and I get Ben Johnson's the exciting name, and I've been really high on Liam Cohen. I still think that'd be an awesome fit. But to me, I think Vrabel is the top guy, I think, for what the Jets need at the current moment. I think that, certain teams need certain things at certain times, right? I just think that personally, he would be the best fit of kind of what the Jets are needing at the moment.
If not Vrabel, who are some other guys, Will, that excite you as far as options go for this position?
Yeah, Liam Cohen for sure would be my second one if the Jets were to go with the offensive route. I mean, I don't think they'll go the Jesse Minter route, but I'd certainly interview him for sure. I'm open to Glenn and Flores. They're not the highest on my list, but I think they both could do a good job, and I think that there's certainly reason to be excited about them. Obviously, again, they should try to request an interview with Ben Johnson for sure. I don't know if he'll take the interview. I mean, I'd certainly talk to Pete Carroll if he'd be open to having the conversation. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to I just am not in I don't get the Kingsbury stuff. I don't see it working here.
He's handsome though.
He's super handsome and he does a good job, but I think there's a lot of the second half of the season, Cliff Kingsbury stuff as a coordinator and him in the New York market as a second thing. I don't know if does that really excite you as much? We'll see. I just stay as far away from Bobby Slowick and these, those types as possible. Look, if something happens with Stefanski or Zach Taylor, definitely it's more so Stefanski. I would 100% try to, have a conversation there. We'll see obviously, but yeah, there's certainly a lot of names out there. But yeah, I personally, I think Vrabel should be the number one for what the Jets need right now. I'm a classic cancel truther. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
I'm actually genuinely, sometimes the comments or whatever, I'm actually just extremely confused at what that means. But whatever. Hey, it is what it is.
M. Morris, Will is a classic cancel truther. Yeah, I'm not sure. I do want to give some shout outs here. Thank you to listener Norm, who gifted 5 channel memberships. He wrote, Garrett over Rodgers, pick me in the raffle. Norm, you're in for 5 tickets. Thank you. Venom AD with a 10 spot of raffle tickets / channel memberships. Let's go, baby. Hit the bell. Cha-ching. Venom, thank you. And then his message is wishing Steve and his family all the best wishes and blessings. Once again, GoFundMe link. I keep putting it in the chat. And everyone who donates a membership, I'm going to make sure that we take all the money from that and we add it to the donation I'll be making after the show. But I'll continue to promote this GoFundMe here. It's great to see. I guess this GoFundMe started a couple days ago. We obviously just learned the news about Steve before the show started, right as we started. But already $35,000 has been raised for his family, so that's good to see. All the info is on the GoFundMe. All right, comments, questions, super chats, open phone lines if you want in on the conversation as well. Any thoughts on a GM hire, Will? I mean, out of the guys they've interviewed so far, I like Dimitroff the best. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more to come, though.
Who's my best get prediction today that gets the job?
Yeah, just throw something out there.
I'll say that they go. GM's tough. I'll say they
first timer or a guy with experience.
I'll say they figure out a way to get Ryan Coden and Vrabel done as a package deal. Big monster deal for Vrabel, 5 for 65 is my prediction.
Wow. Let's go.
Let's go. He's got a $100 super chat as well. That's awesome.
To the Dark Knight Steve Funds. Papa Jet, thank you. If anyone's going to Venmo a donation, though, please, if anyone's going to super chat a donation, please just Venmo me. It's at Jake-Asman. It's the picture of me wearing an Aaron Rodgers jersey. You can't miss it. The reason why I'm asking for Venmos instead of just the super chats is because YouTube takes 30% of all super chats. So I want all the money to go to Steve and his family. So if you have a Venmo or even Zelle, it's just my email, Asman Jake. That's the best way. And I will promise you that all the money will go to Dark Knight Steve. I'm going to make a big donation after the show in the Asmaniac's name. And I see a bunch of you have already donated as well. So whatever you could afford to donate, just click the GoFundMe link and support Steve and his family. For those who missed it real quick, all the details are on the GoFundMe, but Steve and his family were involved in a hit and run accident on Christmas Eve. And Steve, his wife, their 2 kids all suffered serious injuries, and they certainly could use your help right now. So wishing Steve, obviously, and his family all the best as they recover from this injury, and hopefully, they find the person responsible for this because it's insane.
Absolutely. Travesty, honestly.
Yeah, just horrible. So thinking about, I see people in the chat are like 30%. Damn, I know, folks. I know. They take 30%. Nuts. Absolute nuts. So Venmo, best way to support the show. And in this case, Dark Knight Steve. Open phone lines if everyone wants in. I posted the Gusbuster hotline link if you want to call into the show and talk to Will or I. Will, I hear a lot of rumblings about Mike Greenberg, not the guy on ESPN, but the guy from Long Island who Mike Tannenbaum hired as an intern with the Jets back in 2008. So there's a connection there. He interviewed for a couple jobs last hiring cycle. Peter Schrager's mentioned his name. I feel like he's a dark horse candidate to watch for the job. He's got the local tie. He's been with the Bucs for a long time. Sure. I think he's got a chance to get this gig. Your thoughts on him?
Yeah, no, I think that makes a ton of sense. I think if they were to do that, hiring him with a guy who's, if he was able to bring in a high level.
Like Liam Cohen and him, I think could be something that they would maybe explore.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then if you do that, making sure you're able to, kind of bring over someone in the front office as like a director of college scouting, director of player personnel, whatever it may be, that kind of has more of that, scout background to balance out him who's, obviously understands talent, but is more kind of on the cap side. So yeah, that's certainly, listen, I would not be opposed to that combination at all. Look, he's maybe especially if you're a team like, hey, we got to pay some of these young guys. Look how Tampa's done a really good job of able to compete with dead money, so much dead money on the books from Brady. I think no one ever talks about the fact that how much dead money they had with Brady, with Brady there, but and some of those veterans, but they've been able to stay competitive. And, he's a guy who's been there for a long time. Obviously, I think his parents are in Merrick or something like that, Schrager mentioned. So he's certainly a name to watch. Borgonzi, Agnew, I think, maybe it's not the role as GM, but Dimitroff and Nagy, I think, are both guys that I would very much like to see potentially. Hey, would can you come be, can Thomas Dimitroff come in and be not a president of football operations or Jim Nagy do that, but that type of role where, whether it's Jim on the scouting side or Dimitroff on kind of the analytics and scouting side, both guys worked together in New England for a long time. Very successful scouts, Jim in Seattle and in New England. Dimitroff obviously was the GM of the Falcons for quite a long time. So whether those guys are GM, or going to get a GM job, I don't know, but I'd certainly be open to them having a role in the organization, a high level role, that's for sure.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Shout out to the 670 of you that are in here live right now. Your comments, questions, and super chats will continue to cut the line. A couple of you have also sent me some Venmos here, so I want to thank both Scott and Ralph who sent Venmo so far for Dark Knight Steve. I'll put that in the total fund we'll do after this show for Steve and his family. Once again, the GoFundMe link. I'm even going to add it to the description as well, which YouTube won't let me do until after this video is done. But I'll keep putting it in the chat. So for those who are tuning in late, Dark Knight Steve, longtime listener of the show, what he's going through, his family. So please click that GoFundMe link and read up, and you'll find out all the info, how you can help. With that said, let's take some calls right now. First up is Kyle Clifton today. What's up, Kyle?
What's going on, guys?
What's up, man? How you doing?
The best of DKS.
Well said.
So I was trying to call in this morning, Jake, on the show and talk Yankees, but it was all I forgot it was Football Friday.
You know, it's funny. Honestly, if the Gleyber Torres had signed about 15 minutes prior, you would have been able to get right in.
Right. So you guys were talking about who from Tampa Bay? Was it Spytek?
I like Spytek a lot, and we were talking about Mike Greenberg, but Spytek as well.
Okay.
I can't believe that's his name, Spytek.
It's so sick.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I kind of like Nagy. Kind of apart, but still wired into the whole. I don't know what kind of relationships he has with coaches, but I would imagine he has
very good. Yeah, very good.
Is it Nagy or Nagy? Nagy's the former Bear and Chiefs OC, right? Is it Jim Nagy is the Senior Bowl guy, or it's Nagy?
I don't know.
I think it's Nagy.
Tomato.
At first, when you said you like Nagy, I'm like, oh no, not Adam Gase 2.0.
No, not the coach. The potential personnel guy from the Senior Bowl.
I got you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's has a relationship with Vrabel or Flores or any guy that we might consider like a Todd Monken or a Ben Johnson. But I kind of like out of the box thinking here. And I don't know if, based on the comments before, what you said, I don't think Cimini knows. Like, it's impossible to know at this point what he's thinking, what direction they're going to go in with GM and coach. So until the GM is determined, like to say that Aaron is or isn't is only a 10 or 20% chance. To me, that's just it's purely speculative. And if you think about it logically, it does make a little bit of sense to have Aaron back on a bridge deal, considering the dearth in the quarterback market this offseason. But I don't know that. I think that I agree that Vrabel would mean more likely to get Rodgers back. I don't think. But I do think overall, things do have to line up for Rodgers to come back. It has to be a timing thing. It has to be a buy-in thing. It has to be a money thing. There are so many factors that are going to bleed into it, and that's why until we're about 3 weeks out, we're not going to have a clear picture of this at all.
I agree with you because I think certain coaches have a certain percentage chance. Like, for instance, maybe it's 10 to 20% if it's a first-year coach like Liam Cohen who wants to do it his way. But maybe if it's Vrabel, it's closer to 50-50, right? Yeah, I just think it depends who the coach is. If they hire John Gruden, for example, I think he wants Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback for next year. I think it really depends on who the coach is. Rex Ryan's on the record of saying that if he were the Jet coach again, he'd run it back with Aaron as long as Aaron would be willing to learn a modern scheme. Those are Rex's words. He's going to probably get an interview for this job. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Aaron's not here just because Woody might not want him. I think you just hope that the new regime could decide. That's what I want, Kyle. I want the new GM and coach on the same page. I don't want Woody's influence impacting that decision.
I mean, thanks, guys. I appreciate the time.
Yeah,
Kyle,
thanks, man.
Appreciate
Enjoy, Happy New Year, man.
Sam writes in, being that they're interviewing everyone, give Chris Sims an interview already. I have an even better idea.
All right, so here, no. Listen,
give Connor Rodgers an interview.
So we're doing they're interviewing everyone. They are interviewing a wide range of candidates. Thomas Dimitrov's a 2-time executive of the year. And I don't think that's interviewing everyone. John Robinson, Dimitrov, and Nagy are currently available to interview. They started the process with guys who are not with teams currently. Nagy's an 18-year high-level NFL scout. And the last 7 years has run the Senior Bowl. And the entire job of the Senior Bowl is putting together draft boards for NFL teams. And the Senior Bowl, 18 of the 32 picks last year, Senior Bowl. We don't have to be the Jets don't get to do this, stick their nose up at everybody and then complain no one wants the job. I think it's good to talk to Dimitrov, who is is an analytically driven guy. The Jets analytic department is 4 people. I think it's okay to talk to Jim Nagy, who knows these prospects from a college perspective better than probably most GMs in the league, because they put together the draft board for the NFL. They talk to every GM in the league. They're talking to every coach in the league, agents, etc. I don't think it's bad to have those conversations. And frankly, from what I understand, like the interviews they've read have been quite rigorous, long, a lot of questions. So, and it's not just Woody running it. So I don't think we need to look at this as a bad thing. And I'm sure that was meant as kind of in jest. They're going to interview a lot of candidates, but look, I've said it a million times. I think the Jets for head coach should interview Jim Leonard and Josh McCown, not because they're going to hire them as the head coach and head coach, but because what if Josh McCown might be your OC and you can get him in a room and know what he's going to be like? What if Jim Leonard might not be your head coach right now, but what if you want to bring him in as your DC? The guys like that, like the Jets starting to interview guys that actually is forward thinking. I think it would be a good thing. I'd be very open to it. So. I don't really get that. John Robinson was a GM with the Titans for like 8 years. And he was successful. So I don't know why. I don't think those were like bad interviews by any means.
I'm curious when the Riddick interview is going to be because it hasn't happened yet.
Are we sure they're going to interview him?
Well, Schefter said they were.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe. I think maybe they'll have one more team, not like an interview with a non-team guy at the moment.
I think he's got a less than 0% chance of getting the job, but I mean, if they want to interview him, like maybe he comes away impressed with Woody and he won't shit on them as much on TV. I don't know. Yeah. Or maybe it's the opposite. If he doesn't get the job, he's more going to go out of his way to take digs at them. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I just the Reddick one. I don't know. I'm not sure that.
Hassan or Lewis? Lewis Riddick or Hassan Reddick?
Both probably shouldn't be with the Jets next year.
Well, one definitely won't be.
I'd venture to say both definitely won't be, but
JV, man. I appreciate the super chat, but I have no idea what it means. It's just you just wrote cons, Rabel, Dimitrov, ARDA, Rester, draft QB.
Hire Vrabel, Dimitrov, GM, bring back Rodgers, Devontae on restructure, and draft the quarterback. Sure. I'm not opposed to that.
Wait, what's cons?
I don't know. I don't know the cons, but I think that's what he's trying to say.
He wrote consensus. So, hold on. Consensus, Vrabel, Dimitrov, ARDA. Then what does Rester mean? What? JV, you're losing.
I think restructure, right? I think.
Restructure? The super chat is there for you to type out your thoughts. You cheap bastard. Go up to $4.99. I'll cover the expense for your coherent thought. Let's do one more call with Will, then I'll stay on for the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hamburger is up next. What's up, Hamburger?
How we doing?
How we doing, man?
I'm all right. Listen, man, my heart goes out to Dark Knight Steve, man. Listening to that story got me emotional. Horrible. Just thinking about, me and my wife go out with our kids and, we go Christmas light watching and stuff like that. And to have that happen is it's heartbreaking, man. The kids and everything involved. He's
such a good guy. I met him a couple times. He came to the event I did in Vegas last year. He came all the way out to London and it's just terrible. So once again, if anyone has the means to donate to the GoFundMe or wants to Venmo me and put it in the donation I'll make after the show, feel free. Let's support Steve. He's a great guy, great family guy, and he deserves all the support he can get.
Absolutely. So I just want to touch on Aaron a little bit and what I sent in before. I think, the more I watch him and the more that I see what he says, he says he needs time, but he's kind of setting himself up for most coaches to come in and want him back because he's already putting out there that he's willing to take a pay cut. He's willing to learn a new system. So he's putting all those things out there for other coaches. That's why I feel that there's more of a shot for him to come back than not. And for me, I don't want a head coach that has not been a head coach before. I want a proven guy. I will be very disappointed in the organization if we take a bunch of new rookies. I don't care that it's Ben Johnson or not, because to me that screams it screams what's his name that we had? Gase. I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to roll dice. Vrabel's my number one. Listen, I'll take Pete Carroll. I'll take any one of those guys over a new head coach that has not done it before. I don't care what their offense looks like. Then hire a guy that can run an offense for OC. Just give me a guy that can change the culture, that can make these guys winners, and that can put a good product on the field every week. We're all tired of watching this garbage. So for me, I'm aboard Aaron Rodgers coming back. I'm hoping he does. I'm hoping that he can work out a deal, and I'm hoping we get a coach that'll fit him in for a year. Because I think if we're going to go and draft a new QB, he is our best option to have that QB underneath. He's willing to work with them. You saw that he did it with Zach. He did it with what's his name in Green Bay? Yeah, before he left. So he's willing to teach a young person, a young quarterback, to be, you know, a good quarterback. And he's willing to do that for the Jets, is what he said out of his own mouth. Like, he wants to set the Jets organization up to be winners in the future. So I believe Aaron is bought into the Jets, regardless of him saying he needs time. I think he's just doing that to save face a little bit on his own. But he's putting all the signs out that he wants to be back.
Yeah, I don't disagree. This is very random. You kind of look like a mixture of Joe Tippmann and KFC Barstool.
I was about to read the comment from the guy who said, "Is that Joe Tippmann?" You basically look like Joe Tippmann after he plays 15 years in the league.
Nice. Listen, I get everything. Depending on how my hair is done, if I have a hat on, if I have no beard, I look like a bunch of different people. I get it all the time, but I don't mind. I look familiar. People like that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't listen. That's all. No, it's listen. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think, again, Aaron as an on the field product, I think is probably, if it's not one, it's in the top 2 or 3 of the best options for the Jets next year to compete.
Who would be your 2 and 3? I'm curious.
I would say a realistic options. I'm going to not include Sam and Gino just because I just don't look. I think any team. I think there's a lot of teams that should be paying Darnold, but I just don't know if you're Minnesota, you're stupid to leave, right? Like I
want to put this out there. If you're telling me that the Jets can sign Darnold and you're getting rid of Aaron at that point, I will take that.
Yeah, because it's like he's 27. He's going to have a top 5 MVP finish.
Without a doubt.
I would say I'm not like overly excited about the idea of like a Tyrod and Fields quarterback room. That said,
yeah,
I wouldn't be like anti it either if it's a 1-year thing and you draft somebody, or like, hey, we're going to try to win 9-10 games next year, end the playoffs drought, and we'll draft the guy. I don't know if they're going to bring back Darnold. I'm calling Minnesota, and I'm like, a pick, whatever. It's a first round pick swap this year. You end up with Minnesota's first rounder at the end in a deeper class. Maybe you get your tight end. Maybe you get whatever it is in the draft, and you have McCarthy. Look, JJ is kind of the perfect person to trade for. He has a year under Kevin O'Connell. He sat for a year. He's won. He's been successful. He was under Harbaugh. So like that tree, those guys are always successful. And then like he's coming in, you don't even have to start him right away. Maybe that's the perfect, like, hey, Tyrod starts the first month of the season. You hope you go 2-2. Maybe you surprise some teams. Then you turn it over and he gets all the reps during camp. Again, I don't know if it's realistic, but if you want to get creative, it's like, hey, you could at least get excited about a 22-year-old as your quarterback that learned under probably the best, if not one of the best, if one of the top 3 or 4 coaches in the league right now.
Yeah, I'm not very excited about anybody that's in the QB draft this year. Then again, I don't. A lot of those
guys went back to school too. Even like a Nussmeier would have been a really nice end of the first round. You trade back up, you get the 5th-year option, you sit him. That would have been great. Or even, I don't love Alar, but I know people do. Listen. I'm not saying Jalen Monroe is bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
I know
there is a lot of work that needs to be done, and I just don't know. Even a year, I think, is like he's going to be you need to sit 2.
Yeah, he's a long project, and I don't think we have the time we don't have the roster to sit and wait.
Yeah, you don't want to have you want Garrett. Yeah, we don't want Garrett in year 7. Like all of a sudden, like, oh, you finally got. You like to. I don't know. Maybe Fields. Look, Fields was better this year. He still takes a lot of sacks and like holds the ball forever, but theoretically, the run game would be impressive with Brees and him. And
I would agree on that.
Yeah, it'd be cheap too. It'd be like $3 million.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not against Fields coming back at all. But I just don't like how he's a pocket passer. He's not a pocket passer at all. Yeah, and that bothers me a lot. But for a year, I mean, whatever it is, what it is. We'll get wins out of him. He's capable of winning games. So that's And that's really all we're looking for next year. We're not looking for Super Bowl. We were looking for
and the playoff drought, so people stop talking about it. And maybe
another year. I got to let this grow.
That's
another year. So, yeah. So I want playoffs next year. Trust me. I want playoffs.
Playoffs. We're talking about
playoffs.
Listen, guys, thank you. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I appreciate it. And sorry for the last time that I misheard you.
I'm glad we got it. We got it squashed, man. That's what we got to do.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Jake, and Will, and Dark Knight Steve, man. We're praying for you and your family, man. Be well.
Hamburger. Thank you for the call, Hamburger. Appreciate you.
Jake, I just donated, so I didn't Venmo you. I just donated though. So
yeah, dude, all good, man. Thank you for contributing. Well, that's awesome. Genergy, I got your super chat, but I appreciate it, Genergy. I'll make sure the money goes to the fund. But for those who need the link to the GoFundMe, that's the best way to do it. GoFundMe directly to support Steve, or send me a Venmo so YouTube doesn't take 30% of your super chats, and I'll put your Venmos all together with the donation I'm going to make after the show. So everyone that gifted a membership earlier and super chatted specifically for Steve, like Papa Jet, we'll make sure we get that accounted for. So I took a screenshot of what the GoFundMe looks like. So you'll see it here. This is what you're looking for. You know, you made it to the right page. If you've never used GoFundMe before, it's super easy. All you have to do is once you click the link I have posted in the chat, the description, and the comment section, if you're not watching live right now, all you have to do is hit that donate now button, and you plug in your credit card info or debit card, whatever you're using, and it's super easy for those who have never used GoFundMe before. It's amazing to see how much money has already been raised for Steve and his family, and I'm excited for the Asmaniacs to support like we always do one of our own. So good call by Hamburger there. And I really appreciate you hopping on. Thank you for donating to Steve as well. That's awesome. And man, maybe the Jets will get a win Sunday. Who knows? They could stick it to Josh Allen, ruin his MVP campaign, and that'd be fun. I saw that the lowest the Jets could pick is 10, even if they went out. So at that point, just root for wins. Who cares?
Yeah, I say this all the time. I'll sign off with this because I guess next time we'll talk is right before New Year's. But rooting for wins isn't going to kill you because they're going to probably lose anyways. You might as well at least try to enjoy when things don't go badly.
It's true. Do you think they cover though? It's 9.5.
I think that the Bills are going to use this if they get. I think it's one of two games is going to happen. We're going to get a tight game early, 7-0, 14-10 at halftime, and it could be like Bills win 27-17, and it's mildly entertaining game. There's the alternate scenario where it's the Bills go up 14-0 early because a turnover or special teams blunder, the defense gets gashed early on, and the Bills try to stat pad Josh because they realize that Josh shouldn't be winning the MVP, but they're going to try to I could see them trying to run it up if it gets out of hand early, but I also think we could see a competitive 27-17, 34-24 type of game, and Rodgers gets 500 and stuff like that.
Man, Garrett Wilson, be ready to get some targets, baby.
Hopefully. Absolutely. Get him to 1,000 yards already. What are we doing?
Let's go. Will, appreciate you hopping on, man. Happy holidays to you.
Thanks. We'll talk before New Year's Eve,
Definitely. Say hi to your wonderful wife, Jamie. And
I will.
I'll talk to you soon.
I'll talk to you later, man. See ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Will Parkinson, Turn on the Jets, Badlands. Check out his podcast. Will's awesome. And he's been joining us every single week during Jet seasons for about 4 years now, which is crazy. Yet to do a winning season. I don't think, by the way, is there any Jet content creator that was around in 2015? I don't think any Jet YouTuber has ever covered a winning season. Was Jet Central doing videos in 2015? I mean, Tyson and Let's Talk Jets Radio, Tyson and Kevin, they were on Blog Talk Radio then? They weren't on YouTube yet, though, I don't believe. Isn't that crazy? The Jets have been so god-awful that we've never had 1 year where the content creators could just have a winning season. Forget the playoffs. It's unreal. Super chat from Space No Ghost. I want Rodgers and Devontae back on restructured deals. If not AR, give me Jameis, Sammy D, or Geno. I don't see Darnold or Geno coming back. I don't think Darnold's coming back either. No way. Geno, I don't see it. No way. Look, if they bring Aaron back, his deal would have to be restructured. And not even restructured. He'd have to take a pay cut. He's acknowledged it. Jameis would be interesting. I don't know. I don't love it. You add Jameis Winston to Tyrod Taylor to that room. They let him compete. I think chances are they'll just roll with Tyrod and draft someone if it's not AR. I mean, I'd be in on Justin Fields, though. He's gotten better every year. He's young enough where maybe if it does come together for him, he could do what Baker's now doing or what Darnold's now doing. Is it likely? Probably not, but it wasn't likely for Sam Darnold to lead a Vikings team to 13 wins, right? So you never know. Like, take a chance on a guy with talent who's young. Like, I know what Tyrod Taylor is. He's a solid NFL backup quarterback that can win you games if he has to play 3 of them. But if he has to play more than that, he's likely going to be overexposed and get hurt. Justin Fields is not a franchise quarterback. I'm not saying he ever will be, but there's an unknown with him. He's young, athletic. He's gotten better each year he's played. No one saw the Darnold season coming this year, or Baker this year and last year. Like, Fields would be my choice if they're not going to bring back Aaron. Just because he's young and there's an upside there. I believe I didn't get to the super chat from Big Fella, so Big Fella, I apologize. Jason Pierre-Paul catches the ball at a higher rate than Lazard. You're not wrong. Funny, crazy story about the Jason Pierre-Paul like fireworks incident. That was one of my that was one of the crazier days in my broadcasting career. I was an intern at Channel 7, which is kind of cool because full circle for me where I do the shows for ESPN New York. It's in the same building on the Upper West Side. And in the ABC building, I was interning that day when that story broke. And the newsroom it went crazy because it was such a big deal. Like it crossed over from like sports story to like the biggest story of the day, sports or not. So that was just a crazy day in the newsroom when that happened. I was there that day. Also, if Vrabel goes to the Raiders, I'll get 50 memberships. That ain't happening. How about if Vrabel goes to the Jets, you get 50 memberships. We'll be celebrating that, baby. I'll finally be able to drink some Henny for the right reasons, big fella. Honestly, if Vrabel goes to the Jets, big fella, we might not have any choice. You gifted me this if the Jets were and we were going to open it and celebrate on the show when the Jets win the division. Big fella gave me this back in April or May, whenever we were watching that Knicks playoff game with all the Asmaniacs together after the shoe store challenge. Obviously, they're not winning the division. But if they hire my number one coach, I'm opening it. I don't care. There's no guarantee I'll ever see the Jets in the playoffs again. Let me enjoy the fact I think they got a coach. Until somehow Mike Vrabel ends up sucking too, you know. But I'll take my chances. But new rule, I'm popping the Henny if Vrabel's a Jet. I got no choice. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Thanks to everyone who's Venmoing me. I'll make sure we add you to the total. Special shout out to Rick Kent for an unbelievably generous donation. He already donated to the GoFundMe and then just sent me another one for the Asmaniac group donation that I'm going to put together. Everyone who super chatted the memberships. And if you missed it, we have this being the main prize, the Joe Willie Namath Super Bowl III raffle prize, the replica ring. I've also added the Wayne Corbett rookie card. And it will come with other Jet trading cards too, but the Wayne Corbett one is like the actual one with money value. And it's cool. It's a Wayne Corbett. And I didn't think I had any left over because I thought I gave them all away, but I got another Aaron Rodgers throwback jersey to use as a raffle. I had all these jerseys that we were going to be giving away at all the Jet watch parties. And then the Jets lost to New England and fell to 2-6. And the remaining 6 watch parties I had scheduled. So, yeah, you could say the Jets sucking not only pains me as a fan because I live and die with this woebegone team, but it also hurt my bottom line. But I have the jerseys anyway, so we might as well give them to Asmaniacs. So I appreciate all of you for the support. More of your calls right now. Venom AD and then Philly Noodles will be our next two. What's up, Venom?
Hey, what's going on, Jake? First, I want to say prayers out to Steve and his family.
Amen. Amen.
I'm up here in New York, coming up from South Carolina. We have some issues going on in our family, too, medically. So it's just been a crazy year. But
I'm sorry to hear that, Venom. Thinking about you and your family, wishing you guys the best.
Appreciate it very much. So I want to talk about, the front office and the head coach and hire. And I think it's more important. I think we need to nail this more than anything. Only because when you look at this team, yeah, there's a lot of talent on this roster. But with all the crap going on with Garrett's attitude, if they're saying Malachi's got an immaturity problem. This all stems from shit coaching. This is all from a lack of leadership in that locker room. Forget Woody Johnson, just a lack of leadership in that locker room. So if it was my choice, I mean, I would love Dimitrov along with Vrabel. I think Vrabel could definitely drop the hammer, make these guys play like men, let them know that you're professionals. You're not, this isn't a frat house. You're getting paid to play. You don't perform, you don't play. It's that simple. But I think when it comes to whether it's a head coach and or GM, we have to look at what's more important. Do you want, let's say, like a Ben Johnson, who is an X's and O's type of guy, or an Andy Reid, who is an X's and O's type of guy, or do you want a like a team builder, like let's say Bill Parcells? I mean, if I had the powers to do anything, I'd clone Bill Parcells and bring him in. That's a guy that's a true leader of men. He knows how to motivate. He gets in everybody's faces. There's even clips of when, if you look at the 1998 Jets coaching staff and pull that up and take a look at the names on that staff.
It's insane.
It's insane. Yeah, you'd be blown away. I mean, besides Bill Belichick, but I mean, from Charlie Weiss to Romeo Crennel, even what's his face, Mangini was listed on there as well. So I mean, there's a laundry list of names. That's what an excellent, in my opinion, the perfect head coach does. He builds the staff around him. He doesn't have to be a superior X's and O's guys, but he knows how to get the most out of their players. And that was one of the biggest problems that I seen on the Jets sideline. You never saw Saleh go over and coach his guys up. If he's not calling the plays, he should be, offense or defense, he should be coaching his guys up. You don't see that. I'm also tired of seeing Aaron go and sit on the bench and just talk to the OC and that's it. I mean, why isn't he not talking to his receivers? Why is he not talking to his offensive line? That's what I mean by a lack of leadership. This is where also a strong head coach will come up and challenge Aaron and say, look, you're the quarterback. You're the leader of this team, and you need to get that camaraderie, but you also need to hold yourself accountable and your teammates accountable. I don't want to see your ass just sitting on the bench after a 3 and out. I want you going and talking to the guys and getting on the same page and coaching everybody up. These are just my opinions, but this is from my experience of watching. I'm 47 years old. I've been watching football since I was 6 years old. So these are things that I've seen through the years. And if you look at other teams like the Lions, I mean, hell, Dan Campbell's doing his best to really prop up Aaron Glenn. I mean, you're seeing all the clips of Aaron giving, speeches to the team and everything else. And who's his mentor? Bill Parcells. Now, I don't care who the Jets hire as long as it's the right freaking guy at the head coach and the general manager. And you know what? I also hit you up on Twitter yesterday. My handle on Twitter is Disposable Heroes. You can be competitive and still be able to retool your team. And it doesn't matter where the hell you're picking. If you need a quarterback, you can move up. Like you said, I agreed with you in your debate with Frankie. You can move up, get your guy. It doesn't matter where you pick. It's a matter of who you pick. And if you have the right people in place, you'll be able to get anybody that fits your profile and you can coach them up. So that's all I wanted to say. I don't want to take up any more of your time.
Venom, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, my thing with the Frankie debate yesterday, for those who saw the show, is it's all built on hope and maybe. Hope is not a plan. Oh, you hope you could get a top 2 pick and nail the quarterback selection. Well, even if you do nail the quarterback selection, Houston a year ago felt like they did that. Now a year later, C.J. Stroud is not playing as well. So, you know what you need? You need to have people that are running your organization you trust, that are playing well, that are making smart decisions. The Lions didn't tank. They just nailed their GM and coach hires. Every year, the Steelers are good. It's not Mike Tomlin's fault he doesn't have a quarterback. He maximizes the talent he has. The Ravens didn't tank. They took Lamar Jackson with the last pick of the first round. They traded back in to get him. The smart teams, you can find a quarterback without having to be the worst team in the league to do it. You got to get the coach right and fix the culture. Rex Ryan had it running well for a couple of years with Mark Sanchez as his quarterback, right? Like you have to get the right people. You need the right leader. That's really what it comes down to. The organization needs the right leader. And I think the right leader is Vrabel, but if not Vrabel, I prefer Flores. And there's other guys. But you need the right leader. That's where it starts. Huge shout out to Mimosa. Mimosa, who won the signed Curtis Martin trading card, is back with another 10 memberships. And Mimosa, I want you to know, before I hopped on the air this morning on my way back from the radio station, I stopped at the UPS store and I mailed you your Curtis Martin trading card all the way down to Gainesville, Florida. And I also included a couple special items in there as an extra thank you as well. So I hope you enjoy that. And I'm looking forward to you having that Curtis Martin card for you to frame or do whatever you want. But it's a really cool card. It comes in the protective casing too. So hopefully you like it. Thank you for supporting the show. 10 memberships right here. Let's go, baby. Hit the bell. Let me see if I could find out who got them. The following listeners are now memberships from Mimosa. We're up to 30 memberships added. The raffle will be Monday. It's going to be our biggest raffle we've ever done as far as the amount of tickets in there. The grand prize is the replica Joe Namath Super Bowl ring. We also have the Aaron Rodgers jersey. We also have the Wayne Corbett rookie card. And what I say, a Gusbuster umbrella item from the merch store. And I'm pretty sure I have another $50 Copper John's gift card to give away. So there might be like 6 winners from Monday's raffle. So there's still time. We're going to do more shows this weekend. We got the post-game show Sunday. So all that and more. Fireman Ed, by the way, who normally joins me on Friday, he's going to join me tomorrow now instead around 11 a.m. So we'll get Fireman Ed on the show tomorrow. John Gilgert, Andre Malone, ND, Chronicle Apples, Alec Canillo, Adam Horvath, Sean Johnson, AJ, Paul Rodriguez, AL, all receiving channel memberships. Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, I put a bounty on Evan McDonald, who's back. Evan McDonald's actually FM, who's banned for life, but we'll have some fun with this. We'll raise some money here for Dark Knight Steve. Any super chat, 10 of them. And we send Evan McDonald to the hole, who's actually FM. His latest comment, among the many nonsensical ones he's written already today: cut the has-beens. Bring in Aaron Glenn as head coach and draft Jalen Milroe with a first-round pick and start him immediately. Best quarterback to come out in the last 10 years. So that's FM checking in. So if you want him to go to the hole, you know what to do. Bo, thank you for contributing to the FM Hole Fund. NFL teams don't give away seasons in hopes of acquiring a possibility. Get the coach, get the GM, restructure, and effing win. We're the Jets. Yeah, win, man. Why are we giving up on next year? I never understood that from Frankie. It's unreal. Miami Kid says, you don't have any Zach Wilson jerseys on the raffle. I do have a Zach Wilson signed card if you want. I'm showing that one off. I actually do have a Zach Wilson jersey, but it says Knoble on the back of it right now. Jayquest gave it to me, I'm pretty sure. Let's get to more of your calls right now. Once again, for those tuning in late, please see the beginning of the show. The link for the GoFundMe for Dark Knight Steve, I keep posting it in the chat while we're live right here. I will add it to the description, and I will make sure we include it in the comments. And if you want to donate to me, and I can do it on your behalf, don't super chat. Instead, Venmo me so we can make sure 100% of the proceeds go to Dark Knight Steve. And I've received a bunch of Venmos so far, so thank you to every Asmaniac out there for supporting. Steve Davis, I just got your Venmo. Rick, I received yours. Matthew, Scott, Ralph, got you guys. So thank you all for supporting. Once again, link if you're watching live right now, which many of you are because we have 578 people in here. Click that link, and if you have the means to do so, please support Steve and his family. Steve, real quick, just telling the story for those just tuning in. According to the GoFundMe, was out with his family Christmas Eve, and a hit-and-run accident occurred, which put Steve, his 2 children, and his wife all in the hospital. So if you have the means to support them, please do so. Obviously, it's a terrible story. All the info is there on the GoFundMe. We talked about it earlier, but if you could support, please do. Steve is one of the great people I've gotten a chance to know from doing the show now for 4 seasons. Let's say hello to Philly Noodles. He's next on the Gusbuster Hotline. What's up, Philly?
What up, Jake? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you? I like the hat, man. Like the hat.
Yeah.
You got the shirt on too? Oh, my man.
Yeah,
I
that's
appreciate
been
you.
yacked out. You know
I'm
what I'm saying?
repping the merch as well. I'm ready.
I'm saying, and Jet's running around with the giant handkerchief. Let me capture him. Hold on. There he is.
Oh, dude, that's awesome, Philly. Thank you so
It
much.
looks
man.
like a full shirt on him because he's so small, bro.
I love that. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Of course. Yo, speedy recovery to the whole family. I hope they catch that scumbag.
Yeah,
That's something else. Is man, I'm telling you, bro.
It kills me. It kills me. Steve, just read it. I can't even. I can't even read the whole thing. I'm just. I'm trying to do the show here. I mean, I literally found out as the show was starting. So like, I'm doing my
as
best.
you were reading it before, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
we just gasped again. Me and my fiance were like, Jesus Christ.
Terrible.
Yeah, you know how I stand on AR. It is what it is. I think I'm going to say it again as I prefaced it last week, and you've now said it. I would trade up, go grab your quarterback. If you're telling me AR is here for one last run, take a deferral, mentor a dude, you want the bridge. Oh, then take the shot at the first round quarterback. You think that could be there at number 2 because you know who the Giants are taking, one or the other, right? So let's say they take Cam Ward, see what you can do to get Shador. If he's that good, right? If he's not that good, then I guess you sit where you're at and you take what you get. But I would really like Pete Carroll to come in as a role, if that's legit. If he's literally looking and seeking to be back in the NFL, I would love for him to sit up top, help Woody manage the entire staff through and through, do what he's got to do, select who they think it makes sense, help him with the hirings. I don't see him as a head coach. I think it's a little bit too much at his age. There's a reason why he stepped down.
I'm talking to him though. I mean, there's value I think in talking to Pete Carroll. He's won, and he's hired a good coaching staff. And if you maybe you don't hire him as head coach, but he'd want to be involved in your organization somehow. Like that would be a win for the Jets if you get Pete Carroll involved.
I think so. I think it would be great. I mean, he can hearken on to whoever who's on the staff over there in Seattle that wants to maybe jump ship, take a shot at them for themselves. Just usher in something different. I think he would see, and call me crazy, that kid Dylan Gabriel, one of the finalists for the Heisman. I think he sees him and he goes, "That's Russell Wilson again, reincarnate." The kid is, I think, that good. He's good enough. He's 24. You could sit him behind Aaron. Aaron has some of these games where he's got an MCL injury yet again. All right, well, you're sitting, bro. We're putting in our rookie quarterback. He's 24. He can play. Let it happen and run with it. But I think that's what should happen. And I do fear the smell in the waters between the relationships between Aaron and some of the wide receivers. We saw with Mike Williams early in the season. He has his 2 best friends, but other than that, him and Garrett could sour more. Him and Corley are clearly going to sour. At some point, that's him definitely telling them, well, he's a little too immature to put onto the game plan every week. Well, Gibson can't hold the ball. So you know what I mean? At some point, I don't care how immature he is, get him on the field. Let's see what happens. If he does the same as the other guy, then fine. Then you have a problem. But, as long as it's not a Deontay Johnson situation, you know what I mean? Where he's out of the league now. And he's been dropped 2 times in one season by 2 different teams. But I don't know. Yeah. Give me Pete Carroll, whatever semblance of whatever we can get. Tom Brady's also bugging me out. He rears his ugly head, his TB12 head, and he wants to go ahead and take a shot at Mike Vrabel. That would suck.
I don't understand the appeal of the Raider job. That's what I'm not understanding. Like, Brady's there, great. He's not the GM.
Yeah, the first round pick. I don't know.
They're not even picking in the top 2 to get one of the perceived quarterbacks right now.
Exactly. So it would be. I think it'd be weird. Clearly, Vrabel, and then that's another thing to put. Vrabel would have the say. Like, we would clearly, if he's our number 1 candidate, we're going to align him with who we think he sees fit at GM. It's clear because the signals are in the air. It's there. I think they would bend to his will some bit there. And I doubt they're going to go ahead and say, all right, John Robinson, the guy you had a problem with, let's go hire him. Clearly, that wouldn't work out. But it is alarming they did interview him. Also, he doesn't have a job, so he's interviewable. if you know what I'm saying.
I don't even think it's alarming. I don't mind it. I mean, the guy has a pretty good resume. It didn't end great, but these guys are available because it didn't end great. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah, and they're interviewable. So I'm actually a little anxious for the next 2 weeks here, because once this season's over and we go to postseason, you could start interviewing.
It's going to pick up, but that's the advantage the Jets had, Philly, getting started early. Because, also, I think there's something to be said for getting better at interviewing if you're the people doing the interviews. The more you do it, you might hear a certain theme that some of the candidates are bringing up, and you're like, oh, well, let's make sure we definitely ask so-and-so about this because each person we spoke to referenced this. You know what I mean? I just feel like you could learn a lot and get better at your process the more reps you get with your process. And I think Woody needs all the reps possible asking the right questions to candidates, and it gives the Jets an opportunity to be prepared for when candidates, like a Mike Vrabel, for example, say, hey, I read this athletic story. What's the real deal? What assurances can you make me that I truly will have say as the football voice versus, you coming in and meddling, right? What allegedly you did. You know what I mean? I just feel like it gives the Jets time to be prepared for those questions too.
Yeah, it's going to start ramping up, and I think you're right, 100%. And it ain't Madden ratings. This is real now. This is about to get real.
No,
so everybody
let's
buckle up, baby.
Well, I'll tell
Jets
you what,
up.
Philly.
Yeah.
Appreciate the call again. Great job wearing the merch. And your shout out. What's your dog's name?
Jet, 2 T's.
Shout out to Jet with the bandana. I love it. And
he ravished himself out of the bandana. It became a toga, and then he just ripped out of it.
I love it. And look, this is for you, Philly, and this is for Jet, man. Let's go. Let's get Brick Johnsoned up.
Let's get Brick up.
Went from Obrick to Brick. Wow, look at this. Not one, but 10 spots of channel membership donations, baby. Let's go. I got 20 names to read. You know what that means? Hold on. I'm not prepared for such a thing. I don't have any of my videos ready, but I will be prepared. But first, I'm hitting this.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
It's raining memberships. Oh, yeah. Let me get my umbrella. I got names to read. Hold on. Damn it, I don't have my umbrella handy. I'm going to pretend like I have it handy. All right, here we go. Let me just get to the names, then we'll get back to your calls if you want in on the conversation. These are from Bo, Sonny Crockett, JoJo, Jet Guy NYC, Andrew Yale, Dirty Jesus, UK Jet Fan, JS, Justin Jokian, Cat24, Shimshack Collectibles, all receiving memberships. Now, these channel memberships here are being gifted from Venom. We just did Bo. Now we got Venom, AP, Broadway Scott, Me and My Dog, Paranormal in the Funhouse, Mary in Tampa, Harley Hauer, Gilbert Farmer, Snowman Multimedia. I believe those are the 20 right there. I don't know. I feel like YouTube is not giving everyone's name. It sounded like 20, but I don't know. If you got one, make sure you thank either Venom or you thank Bo. We've gotten a lot of memberships during this show. A lot of raffle tickets, 50 more and counting. Let's keep it rolling. Rick Kent with a super chat. I don't buy that Vrabel to the Raiders story either. Mark Davis is a worse owner than Woody. He's nuts. I just don't think the Raiders are a more attractive job. They don't have a quarterback. They're not in position to necessarily get a quarterback, and they're in a brutal division. Andy Reid and Mahomes, Sean Payton and the Broncos, Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. I wouldn't want to go to Vegas. Sco, do you have Zelle so I could donate? Sco, I do, but if you're going to donate, I would just go right to the GoFundMe. I want to post a link again. It's probably just easier for you to do that. I do have Zelle. I'll accept your Zelle, Sco, and I'll add it, but I would just say go to the GoFundMe. My Zelle is just my email. It's asmanjake@gmail.com. Fiore with a super chat. If no Vrabel, why wouldn't Gruden be better than Rex or Carroll? Younger offensive mind can develop a quarterback and culture guy. Raiders were a full rebuild, and he left the year they made the playoffs. I don't know. I mean, I think I would rather Rex than Gruden, to be honest. Rex, I think, understands the market. Woody Johnson, I think he truly would be so motivated. Gruden, I don't dislike Gruden. I don't know if his offense works in 2024. We're talking about running a modern scheme. Like, Gruden's been away a long time already. I'm not saying he couldn't adapt. I would want to know who Gruden's OC is, though. It probably would be his brother. I don't know if that excites me. I love Gruden. He's amazing at Barstool. He's amazing on TV. What a personality. Look, if they hired Gruden, I'd get excited. It wouldn't take long. After the opening press conference, we'd be all in. But there's just other guys I'd prefer. And Rick is right. Rex has been away longer, but I think it's an easier adjustment for Rex. Rex is a Jet. I do think that matters. I would want to know who Rex's OC is, though. Rex is actually joining the radio show Monday, so I'm gonna get my chance to talk to Sexy Rexy. I got some questions for him. He probably won't answer a lot of them, but I'll do my best. I will tell Rex that I went as him for Halloween. I'm sure he'll like that. I got to interview Rex last year, but it was me and Ty Butler, so I didn't get to really Rex out during the interview. This time, though, I'm ready. Should we introduce Rex on the radio with this?
Oh, yeah. You know what time it is. You tried to throw him away, but this man's coming back. Sometimes he's fat or thin. That waistband makes him slim. He's got the fix you need. They call him Sexy Rexy.
Fuck Gruden, he's no Jet. I'm here to crack some skulls. I'll turn these boys to men. This team is stacked with pros. Hire me, you won't break your purse. I'm here to break the curse. They call me Sexy Rexy. Fuck all you naysayers.
Ooh, sexy. Ooh, he's sexy Rexy. Sexy. Ooh, he's sexy Rexy. Sexy. Ooh, he's sexy Rexy. Sexy. Ooh, he's sexy Rexy.
We're going to have to bleep out the F. Gruden line in there, but we can make that work. Big fella, if the fish fire McDaniel, would you be okay with him at OC? Yeah, I would. Definitely. I think Mike McDaniel might get a head coaching job, though. You know how many teams need quarterbacks? And McDaniel, I mean, look, they haven't won a playoff game, but it's not nothing to go to the playoffs. He's been there twice. This is what, McDaniel's third year, I think? Let me make sure I have that right. Is he in his fourth year or third year? He's in his third year as a head coach. 9-8, 11-6. Like, they're not going to fire him. I think he'd get another head coaching job. Tua was not this before McDaniel got there. The guy could coach offense. Now, they can't beat good teams, but how much of that is just Tua's not a great quarterback? I don't know. Jay says, what's the Venmo for Steve? Well, the GoFundMe link, I keep posting it. My Venmo is Jake-Asman. I'm asking if you don't know how to use GoFundMe and you want to just Venmo me like other people have, Jay. The reason why I'm asking for Venmo is because YouTube doesn't get a cut of any of the money. So 100% of your proceeds will go to the GoFundMe link. Ladies and gentlemen, FM is back under another name. FM, you've been banned for life, so we thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it, but your day is, once again, well, it's over. See ya.
Into the shadow realm you go.
Bridgewater is 9 years younger than Rodgers, has been beloved everywhere he's gone as a pro, and is still available as an unrestricted free agent.
I said, shut up, Bill Barnhole, bum.
Remember that take from Bill Barnwell? The Jets should not pursue Rodgers because they could get Teddy Bridgewater. Oh, that was a good one. Norm writes in, please play Colin Cowherd's Jet fans are dope clip. I freaking love it. Norm, just for you.
And Jet fans are clueless. I mean, they're dopes. They don't know anything. This is a really good hire. Gase is a great coach. Gase is a great coach. Okay, Adam Gase is Kyle Shanahan before Kyle Shanahan. Gase is a great coach.
Big fella, why doesn't LaFleur get any looks at head coach? Because it's Sean McVay's offense. I mean, that's why. I mean, are we sure Mike LaFleur is the reason why the Rams are good? They won a Super Bowl before he even got there. Now, is Mike LaFleur way better than Nathaniel Hackett, yes, but that's not the point. I see someone still asking for the link to GoFundMe. I just posted it again in the live chat. Thank you to everyone who's supporting Steve and his family. We'll keep raising some money here. We always try to help out. Snowball, did Cowherd even speak to Vrabel? He says he did. I mean, I feel like if that conversation didn't... Look, say whatever you want about Cowherd, right? I'm not a fan. But say whatever you want about Cowherd. I don't think he would go on his show and lie about a face-to-face interaction. Like, you'd think Mike Vrabel would dispute it immediately if this didn't happen.
I talked to Mike Vrabel. Mike said, he said, I would take the Jets job. I just don't know who the GM would be. I'd have to like the GM.
You know? Like that's tough to make up, even for Colin Cowherd. Chino says, still recovering from Frankie's nightmare take yesterday. Way to cook him. Yeah, we got into it, man. I like Frankie, but what a loser mentality to have. That's just to roll away next year, win 2 games, because that's the only way to get the quarterback of the future. We don't even know who the quarterbacks are next year. By the way, I think Arch Manning will probably be good too, but he's never played. He's never started real games in college football. He barely played this year. He played a couple games. Connor says, just donate to the GoFundMe. 100% of the proceeds go to the family. Yeah, GoFundMe, 100% goes to the family, Connor. Yep. Also, Arch Manning might not even come out, Big Fella says. He's right. We don't know. Imagine tanking next year for Arch and he stays in school like Peyton Manning did. Like, get serious. Come on. Last chance to get in here. I got open phone lines. Appreciate Will Parkinson joining us here. Appreciate everyone who is supporting the GoFundMe for Dark Knight Steve and his family. Plan is to do the raffle for the prizes we've been teasing Monday. So you have all weekend to get your raffle tickets in. I want to try on the ring again. Maybe one day we'll get our own ring. Until then, we always will have Super Bowl III. I actually got the try on Joe Namath's ring in 2012 at a charity event with my dad. And you know who I met at this charity event? Christopher McDonald, the actor who plays Shooter McGavin. And I said, hey, Shooter. And he did the at the event. It was awesome. I actually told that story on the radio yesterday for those who heard the show. Rick says, don't scratch my ring, Jake. Rick, I hope you win, man. You saw Super Bowl III on TV. Rich says, hit the like, it's free. Jay says, donation down. There you go, Jay. Way to support the cause. That's awesome. Reminder, get your picks in all weekend long for Underdog. Every football game that's on TV over the next couple of days, you can make it more fun with Underdog. Promo code Asman if you haven't signed up for it yet. It's a blast. They'll give you an awesome deposit match. And here's the football slate. Today you got 5 bowl games. So you can make picks with Underdog. Tomorrow, 8 bowl games, 3 NFL games. You got the slate of NFL games Sunday. I'll be back with a Jets-Bills related Underdog pick'em that I'll post on the Discord, and we'll talk about it on the show. So enjoy the football, baby. Enjoy it all. DeRhino in the house. This season has been a crap show for both our teams. At least y'all beat us, though. DeRhino, I would kill to be a Texan fan right now, man. I know it's been disappointing, but you're going to the playoffs for the second year in a row. But come on, man. Jay wants to know, what time is the Jake Asman football show on? 2 p.m. Eastern with Cole. We'll make our picks. Rich, hit the like button, is free. Shout out to Nick Shine. He donated to the GoFundMe. Dave Brigga in the house. Dave, we could have used you yesterday with Frankie on. You could have gave him the old one-punch Brigga special. You could have B-Mac'd his ass. Frankie V is like a merry-go-round. Nice guy, but wow. Yeah, it was a battle, man. It was a real battle. Anywho. Join the Patreon if you haven't. We haven't gained a new Patreon member in a long time. So support the channel, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Join the Discord. We're going to have some exclusive perks for Patreon members in the month of January that I'm excited to share. And you have a couple days left in December, so if you want your name added to the intro for less than a cup of coffee a month, join the Patreon. You get Discord access, 20% off all items in the merch store. That's new for everyone on Patreon. It was 15, it's now 20 as a thank you for the support. Bonus shows that are not on YouTube and a whole lot more. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Join and be a part of it. That's where the magic is. Again, thank you all for the support. Please keep Dark Knight Steve and his family in your thoughts and prayers as they're going through a very difficult time. Hit and run accident, Christmas Eve. Just terrible. What else could you say? So if you have the means to do so, please contribute to the GoFundMe. I'm going to get done with the show, post a link everywhere, pin it to the comment section, pin it in the description. Everyone who Venmo'd me, thank you. The Super Chats, we'll make sure that goes to the donation as well. So, please support Steve and his family if you can. It goes a long way. Norm writes in, why didn't the Beyonce Bowl have more views? I think it had a lot of views. The NFL ruled the day on Christmas. They had like 24 million people watching that game. Nicholas says, I went to high school with Steve. Great guy then, great guy now. Please donate. Well said, Nicholas. All right. I want to thank everyone again for the support. Jake Asman Football Show at 2. We might have a show this afternoon. Stay tuned for info on that. And we'll continue to get after it. So thank you all again. Appreciate everyone on the radio, by the way, who's tuned in this week. This weekend's nuts for me. I'm no radio tomorrow, but Sunday I'm on 4 to 8. Then we'll do the YouTube show, and then I got to get a quick turnaround and get up and do 6 to 10 a.m. on ESPN New York. So, yeah, not much sleep going on this time of year for me, which is all good. Beats a real job. Again, thank you to everyone. Thoughts are with Dark Knight Steve and his family. And I'll talk to you guys soon. JETS. Jets.
Ready?
Oh,
everybody mute yourself. Mute yourself.
Light of dawn's early light. What so proud that we hail. We're so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare. The bombs bursting in air. Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land and of the free and the home of the brave.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.